Please stand by. The webinar will be starting in a few minutes. Thank you for coming to today's webinar. The webinar will be beginning in a few minutes. Thank you. One last test. It will be starting in just a very, very short time. Thanks for coming to the webinar this afternoon. Good afternoon and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Anthony Luscre and I am part of the Spark Technology Integration team. Along with my coworker Eric Kurtz, we try and do a webinar probably about 4 a month usually. And today's webinar is going to be Step Out of Your Searching Rut, 15 Sites for the New Year. Now, as you may realize, 15 sites in 60 minutes is going to be very difficult. So we're just going to go over a few of them very quickly, and we're going to go in a little bit more depth than all of them. But the main thing I need you to remember is that you will need to go through and do searching on your own through each of these sites to get the full benefit out of them. This webinar is designed for anyone who's interested in education and technology, not just Spark member districts. There's about 30 districts that we serve here in Northeast Ohio. And the resources for today's presentation can all be found at the URL tiny.cc/spark, SPARCC 228. Again, if you're not already at that page, that link will take you to all the resources. From there, you can find an evaluation form which you can complete. We really appreciate that at the end of the session. Also, you'll find a quiz. If you take the short quiz and pass the quiz, you will receive a certificate for continuing education of 1 contact hour. Now, on the site itself, when you go there, you will see that there's links to the webinars that are both upcoming under the professional development links and the recorded webinars. We'll flip to the page for today's webinar, and as we go down, you'll see that there are a number of resources. There's a slideshow which I'm showed in the beginning, and that's going to be available to you. It has links throughout the slideshow, and I'll be putting the link to it up here at the end of the session. All the search sites that we'll be talking about today will be hyperlinked from that site slideshow so you can have complete access to them. Also, there's a website resource, tiny.cc/rsearch, and that is a web page that I maintain that is full of information on searching. And the whole page is about searching, how to search, searching tips, and then at the bottom of the page you'll find that there is a large list, currently 246 websites that are available as search engine search tools. Some of them are research tools, some are writing tools. So the whole idea is that this is all available for research. The ones in the green at the top are ones that I currently find very interesting and I recommend that people try out that they may not have tried out. So again, that's one of the resources from the professional development page for today's session. And then there's some other different additional information on this page. So we're going to jump in here fairly quickly. One of the things I need you to be aware of is anytime you deal with websites, as many of you know, websites come and go and search engines are just the same. So some of the sites we may be looking at today may not be there tomorrow. So just need you to be aware of the fact that even though something is listed, it may not be available. Or one of the sites I was going to use today is not functioning properly. So we'll be skipping over that site, but I'll leave it on the list so you can get to it. Maybe it'll come back up by the time we get to its place. The first site we're going to take a look at is a very interesting site and probably one of my favorite sites. And we're not going to go in the order that's listed there. We're just going to jump around. They're not in alphabetical order or anything. And that is Wolfram Alpha. If you've never been to Wolfram Alpha, you're in for a treat as far as information. Now, if you've been to any of my sessions, you probably have heard about Wolfram Alpha and you're probably tired of hearing about it. But the thing that makes Wolfram Alpha very different than many of the other search engines you might be using, it is a computational knowledge engine, according to Wolfram Alpha. And the idea of the site is to be able to find information and compare information. This is not like a regular website where they're depending on pages and other web pages to find information. This looks through databases of information. As you notice, we have a search engine area at the top up here, and then we can actually drill down into topics. So if we want to find out information on specific topics, we can drill further into it from these topical indexes. Right now, I'm just going to search for a comparison of railroads. We'll do China and United States. Now, this is an example of a site that has some very specific uses. You won't find the news of the day here. You won't find the latest gossip. You won't find the latest football scores. But what you will find is information using a numerical or tabular format telling you about the topic. So you see, we can see a comparison of the railroad mileage here of China and the United States. There's a lot of different things we can do with Wolfram Alpha. I don't have nearly enough time. I'm going to show you one last little thing because it's sort of fun. If you type your name into Wolfram Alpha, it will show you the frequency of your name and time distribution. My wife's name is Linda, so I like to use Linda as an example. It shows a very distinct profile based on a time period, and this would be a great type of example to use within your classroom, where you can ask the kids, give me some ideas of why this peak might have occurred. And one of them, of course, is the baby boom. But there was also a very popular song in 1942 called the Linda Song, and you notice it rose and then it dropped off again. So Lindas are of a particular age for the most part, statistically. So Wolfram Alpha is all about statistics. So if you like statistics, numbers, comparing things, Wolfram Alpha is a great site to try out for your first new site. We're going to go ahead and close it. And we're going to jump to our next site. And this site is sort of something new that I've not really used a lot before, but it's called Addictomatic. And it's a way to create a custom web page, a custom search page that you can open up each day and have information all ready to go. So you can set this page up, and then this page will be set up specifically for you. And you can put topics in here. I think I put a few in here already. Let's just jump back and see if I got a few in here. Yes, I did. I put some topics in here, and Games of Thrones, and it gives you some suggestions down at the bottom of things that are popular. A lot of it's popular culture, but you can also put in news sites, and it will bring back information from a wide variety of resources. And it may take a few moments for this to load here because there's so many sites it's loading. You can also choose, if you're not interested in a particular site, you can simply X out of it and close that site, and you will not see any information show up there. The available sources you'll see are a wide variety of both typical search engines and media companies and news companies. So now our pages have populated, and we're seeing current news from a wide variety of views. We can also then jump into any one of these we'd like to by clicking on the hyperlink. So again, that's Addictomatic. And it's something I think you'll find fun to play around with. Our next site we're going to jump to is called Gnode, or Gnode, depending on how you like to pronounce it. It's the global network of discovery. And it's actually 5 sites in one. Now, I sort of think that some of the sites may have been purchased, some of the tools may have been purchased, because all 5 sites do not have the same user interface. You're going to see that real quick as we start diving into them. But it's a very good site for finding information. It has a lot of recommendation type of tools in it. So if you're interested in something, it will help you recommend another one. So the 5 areas are music, books, movies, art, products, and those are all available to you from the main Gnode page. If we jump out to one of the pages, you'll notice that the page name actually changes, and you'll start seeing, for example, this is Gnusk, which is the music set portion of Gnode, and we can continue on, and it will be able to target in on my favorite types of music based on the information I put in here. So it's an adaptive website that adapts to your searching. And we don't have time to go into all 5, so I think what we'll do is we'll look at books. So let's go to the literature map. It's kind of neat. You can put in a favorite author. I love Tolkien. So we'll put in Tolkien here. And you notice what happens is it draws us a literature map of related authors that we might find interesting. So for example, many of you that are Tolkien fans may also be C.S. Lewis fans. If we click on that, it will bring us to a map with C.S. Lewis. So this is a good way to find authors who are related in some different fashions to your original author. In addition to the literature map, we can also do a author recommendations. The movie site of Gnode is Gnuvies. And again, it's a movie site. Now you notice how the interface changed. This is one of the things that makes me think that they probably have purchased parts of the site, or they've had different developers work on different sections of it, because the interfaces are quite different. And that may be a little confusing for some of your students, or maybe if you're a person that likes things very similar, it may be not your favorite site, but it has a lot of good information here. And I think you might find it useful to take a look through Gnode or Gnode, however you'd like to pronounce it. Let's go ahead and close that, and we're going to jump into something called SuiteSearch. And SuiteSearch is a search engine for students, so it's designed to be useful for education. So the whole idea, it runs on this this engine called Dulcinea Media, and that's what it does its searches on. So I'm going to search for something. I have locomotives. It's always a very safe word to search for. And you notice what happens. It gives us a list of information similar to very many other websites. But when we click on one of them, it sort of drills down and gives us a topical index after we go to the search. So I'm going to go, I went to locomotives. So I'm going to click on this one. It says abandoned subway tunnels. And you'll notice what comes up is it gives me the article on the abandoned subway tunnels, which it said it was going to do. But on the far right here, you see that in the article, it tells some of the key points that are in there. And if you click on any of those, it will jump off through that hyperlink to the site that has the relationship with this site. So for example, they talk about subway tunnels and they talk about the Lincoln assassination in there. So if we click on that, it will jump to that. Let's click on the one that says other hidden subway tunnels. And you'll see here that it has a link to that part of the document. And then from within there, we can jump to other links to other sites. So this is information on transit archaeology at boston.com. Now, one of the reasons why I chose this particular jump is I wanted to show you that don't forget that when you're in any site, many sites have their own built-in search tool. So there actually are probably millions of search tools out there instead of the 246 I listed, because the owners of the site can design their own search engine to search within their site. And you can also do that. It's very easy. Just go ahead and look at Google's ability to create your own custom search. And we'll be talking about Google a little later, and I will mention that and point out how you can create your own customized search tool for your website. Let's just close a couple more of the SuiteSearch buttons here because I have a little bit more to do on SuiteSearch. You can also go down here and go through these educator reviews. It has information about SuiteSearch and about the underlying engine that runs it. And hopefully it'll load. We're having a problem with a few sites loading today. There we go. So this talks a lot about the search engine. I wanted to also bring this page up because I think it's very important when you start exploring your search engines. One of the things you probably want to look at is the About section. Find out what the whole search engine's philosophy is. Find out who owns it, where they get their information from, because many search engines actually pull information from a variety of other searching tools. They may not even have their own searching tools. They may simply be aggregating results from other search sites. So I think one of the more important things to do is when you start out on a new search engine is to find out, go to the About section. One of the most important things I think about searching is to find the information you want, but even more important, it's to know what you found. And the know what you found is the evaluation of the quality of the materials you find at the sites, but it's also who put the information there and why is it there. So I think you might want to take a look at some of the About sections for some of the search engines, and you might be surprised. The other thing you might find is when you go to the About section, there's usually a Help section. And the help section may point out things that you never even knew your website could do. And we'll look at a couple help sections on some other sites. Again, sorry for the rapid pace, but we want to get through a number of sites today. So we're going to go ahead and close Suite Search. And we're going to jump over to our next one. And this is a very interesting search site. It's not really a search site. It's a history site called History World. But it has the ability to do searches based on timelines. So what does that mean? Well, I've typed in the word Titanic, and I'm going to click on the Go button, and it's going to give me a timeline for the Titanic. 1911 it was launched, 1912 it sank, 1997 James Cameron directed a movie on it. So you can see on the side here it's showing us a timeline we can jump through. We can also jump through by topic, or we can put in a date. So let's put in a date of 1950. You can also put in a range of dates so we can find out what's happening in 1950. Each of these little colorful buttons to the left and right have information about other things that are going on during that period of time. You can also slide this little slider to different time zones, to different times if you'd like, and that will jump you around. So it's something you might want to try playing around with. You can go all the way back to BC. So let's go back and let's look at 4 BC here. And you'll see that it has information on the years around 4 BC. So something very different. Again, it also has its own internal search tool for the History World website. Our next search tool I want to talk about is called similarpages.com. And it has the word beta after it, meaning that it's just being tried out. Many of you may not realize that for years and years, when Google came out, it said beta on it. So google.com, the search bar, had the word beta on it for a very long time. So beta doesn't necessarily mean it's not usable. It just means that they haven't decided exactly how it's going to look in its final product, but no one ever does because all the sites are continuously changing in their techniques, in their layout, in their user interface. Now on this site, we can use it as a regular search tool, but the thing that it even does better is it lets us find sites that are similar. So I put in a site here, www.woot.com. Those of you that like to buy things online might know that Woot is sort of like the discount object of the day, usually technology based, but they have a wide variety of things. So if I'm interested in doing online shopping and I put www.woot.com in there, click the search button, it will return websites that are similar to that page. So it takes a few seconds here and notice we have Slick Deals, Overstock, Coupon Deals, Tech Bargains, Daily Best Buys, etc. So depending on what the site is we put in there, we can see different types of sites that are related. So let's put in CNN here. And let's see what's related to CNN. So you notice now we're seeing news sites. And you can do this with almost any site that you have. You can see whether there's some sites that are similar to it and if they might be sites that are of interest to you. So it allows you to broaden your aspects of a site that you use quite often, find alternative sites to it. And there's a list of 100 alternative sites to CNN.com. Let's take a quick look at ESPN. And you notice now we're getting all sports-based sites. So again, you can put in information about a site and it will try and return information about related sites. Let's just try something. I've not tried this. Let's just see if it brings back anything on this website that I run. It's an amateur radio site, and look, even that simple site that's very uncommon, nothing like ESPN or CNN, it was able to go through and say, hey, this site has amateur radio information on it. What other sites have amateur radio information or ham radio information? So similar pages, I think you might find very interesting. You can also do regular searches in it. And their little description says it has 200 million indexed websites. So give similarpages.com a try. I think you might find some things of interest there. We're going to move on to our next site, and this is a Kids Search. And Kids Search is a site oriented towards kids, of course. And this site is one of the many sites that I have available on my main website. Now, let me just explain what I mean by that. If we go back here, we're going to go to my main website. Again, we can get there from home, tech links and information. And my colleague Eric named my site the Web Resource Hoarder site. But on here, one of the links is Internet Safety and Kid-Friendly Search Sites. So if you click on that link, it will give you information on internet safety for kids. And then the bottom half of the page gives you sites that are good for using with kids. And you'll notice that kids sites are listed throughout this. And there's some notes on each of the different sites here. Notice Gnode's on here. For its Gnooks, its books. So these are all sites that tend to be kid-friendly and educationally oriented. So let's go back, jump over to KidZone, Kids Search again. Kids Search is similar to many of the other searches for younger children or for even high school children in the fact that not only do they provide searching, but they also provide topics. And I think topical-based search sites are very helpful with kids because a lot of times they don't even have an idea of where to start. So by going through the topics, they can drill down. We're going to look at another topic-based site here in a few minutes. One of the things about this site is it is powered by Google Safe Search. And many of you know that you can turn on Safe Search in Google Search, but you can also turn it off. So the kid could easily turn off the site. This is set so that it uses Google Search in its safe mode as its base search tool. So let's just take a look through here. Let's try our locomotives again. I know it's boring, but it's a safe word to look up. And it's going through and it's giving us a wide variety of links. And again, same sort of format that you would see on any Google result page. So you know that the results are coming from Google, but they're going through the safe filter. So again, we have our blue, black, and green. And by the way, for more information on searching, there are two other webinars that I've done previously, one called Searching 101, and there's the Searching 102. So you might want to visit both of those webinars and find out more about searching techniques. Today's just, we're doing a tour of different searching sites, but those other two webinars have a lot of details on how to search and how to search efficiently and information on searching. So again, there's two other webinars that are available on searching. Now you can also go into the topical index. So we're going to click on cool facts here and it's going to tell us fun facts for today in history. So you can see some of our information for today. Also across the top, there's games, there's news, there's a wiki. So let's just jump to the kids news for a second here because it's a very interesting site, I think, for daily current events that are oriented towards kids, and you don't have to worry about non-kid safe news showing up. So you can see that we have a whole variety of websites here on news. Also on my website, I do have a whole list of kid-friendly news sites. There's over 25 available from that Web Resource Hoarder site. So let's go ahead and close Kids Search. And let's go to the extreme other opposite. The Wayback Machine is very different in the fact that it has no safe search imposed upon it. Matter of fact, this site will probably not be available in your school. I'm almost sure of that because the Wayback Machine lets you search through websites and it does the entire web. So in other words, it's not filtered, but the whole key of the Wayback Machine is it allows you to look at sites that are either gone from the web because they've been taken down or they no longer exist, or to see what a site looked like years ago. So I've done a search already here. I think I have it set up here. I'll just jump back here. Yes, I did a search for CNN.com, and you notice along here, because CNN's a rather popular site, it takes a lot of snapshots. Now, the less popular site is, you may find very few snapshots. Most of the snapshots for the Wayback Machine start about 2000 and go forward from there. So let's go to 2001. And let's scroll down and look at the month of September. And let's go to September here. And you'll see that some of these days actually have many, many posts on them. So let's go to September 11th here. And you'll see that there's multiple snapshots. So this is a snapshot that it's occurring at 4 p.m. So we can look at the snapshots throughout the day to see what the news was being reported on the site during each of these different days or times. So it's very, very interesting for social studies to be able to go back and look at the information and how it's presented. And it's very interesting to note the changes that are made over time. So you notice on this particular day, there's over 20 different times that they snapshotted or captured CNN. So this is a really good site for finding things that do not exist anymore or that are not available anymore. And because of that, you can search on any website. So this probably will not be available in your school, unfortunately. Now, the Wayback Machine is just part of the whole site. The whole site itself is actually called the Internet Archive. It's also called archive.org. And the archive.org site has more than just websites on it. So let's go back to its homepage here of archive.org. And again, if you're not familiar with this technique that I'm doing where I'm chopping off different parts of the web address, you definitely want to go through the 2 webinars for additional information on web searching. This is the homepage of the Wayback of the Internet Archive page. And you notice down here it says the Internet Archive is a nonprofit library of millions of free books, movies, software, music, and more. So in addition to the Wayback Machine for finding websites, they have collected a wide variety of other sites and tools available on the site. So if we're interested, we can come back here and look, and they have 2.2 million videos. They have 8.8 million books, 1.1 million photos, software. This is really interesting because a lot of times software that you may have used just a few years ago is no longer available. So what they're doing is they're trying to capture old software. Think Oregon Trail, or think some of your favorites maybe from when you were first introduced to computers. So the whole idea of archive.org is to keep trying to make snapshots of everything going on in the internet and in the technology world to try and capture some of that information so it is not lost. So if we click on text, for example, we can see down here a wide variety of libraries. We can go into the Canadian libraries, we can go into American libraries, we can go into specific universities, we can go into other web search sites like JSTOR, which is journal content. So there's a whole wide variety of resources and libraries. So archive.org is more than just the Wayback Machine. It's many, many tools that are available. And unfortunately, it's usually blocked in schools. Now, your school, if your tech people are very astute, they can block the Wayback Machine portion of it, lets you search for websites and allow you to continue to use the books, music, and other resources. So again, even if you have to do it at home, take a look at archive.org. It's really interesting. Now, this is a great site to use for when you do a search and you go to the page and you get that error that says 404, page not found, or just spins and spins. Take that website address that you were trying to go to, bring it in, type it into the Wayback Machine, and see if you can get there. It's really interesting because some sites are gone, but you can still get back to them by putting the information into the Wayback Machine and searching. NationMaster is a site that I very recently added to my list. It's again another computational data type of site. It allows you to go through and compare a wide variety of categories. It's an Australian-based site, so you will see some slants towards Australian information, but it does allow you to do searches throughout the world. So for example, if we're interested in energy, we can click on the energy section and it will show us comparisons of different countries. So if we want to see how many days of electric outages occurred, we can click on that. It'll show us based on data that Bangladesh has 248 days, so almost 2/3 of the year has electrical outages. And as you go down here, you see we get down to the point where we're looking at places where there's very, very little time that the electricity goes out. So again, just fascinating information as far as facts go. So both NationMaster and Wolfram Alpha are computational type of sites, and they try and provide you information and comparisons as opposed to just general searches. You can search by category. You can also choose to search by country. And when you drill into countries, let's just jump into Ireland here, 'cause it's in the middle. It lets you find information on that particular site. So if we were interested in finding out the media sources that are available in Ireland, we can click on that and it'll show us broadcast media, written media, television, etc. So NationMaster is a very good site for social studies. It's also a great site for anywhere that you want to use statistics. Now, we're going to jump up to our next site here called InfoSeek. InfoSeek is an education site, and you notice that we have two different tabs up here. If we leave the education tab, it will search for information of categories of educational resources, but it also has a general web resource tool. We're going to go ahead and use that, and we're going to use our locomotives again. We're going to search for locomotives. You can also ask questions, and the site is not loading here. Come on, site. You can load. Let's refresh our page and try that again. We're sorry, but an error occurred processing your request. So let's back up and see if we can get it to cooperate. Okay. Who is the tallest man? Nope. See, I told you. I'm sorry. I apologize. You're going to have to try InfoSeek on your own because today it's just not cooperating. It was cooperating just fine this morning, but now it is not. I'm really sorry that it's not. Just to give you a quick description, down the side, it gives you a whole lot of sublinks and topical links in addition to the search material. We'll jump back to that. We have a little bit of time left in our session today. If we get a chance, we'll try and jump back and take a look at that site. The next site I want to go to is something completely different, and that is Yummly. Yummly is a recipe site, a food site. And it's sort of neat. Again, this is an adaptive type of site. You might have noticed the trend today. I've talked a lot about computational sites and about adaptive searching sites, sites that adjust themselves to meet your needs. And Yummly is a good site in that respect because when you find a recipe, you can set the criteria for the recipe. So let's say we're interested in pastas. You notice on the left, it jumped up for a second here. We can come in and put an ingredient in. So if I'm interested in pasta that has eggplant, I can put in eggplant here. I can also add additional, by clicking the plus, I could add additional things. I can also say that I want to have no garlic in my recipe or no basil or whatever I'd like. Also, you can do themed type of searches. So if I'm interested in a pasta that has eggplant, that is a spring dish, it will go through and search for things that try to match that criteria. Now, you notice some of them are a little bit different. So we have a pasta meal here that's an Asian pasta meal. We also have a lamb, an eggplant. That's eggplant in the rest of the world calls eggplant. We're the only people that call it eggplant. I cannot even pronounce it, but it's aubergine. And so if you look in French or Italian cookbooks, or even in UK cookbooks, you're going to see that the eggplant is different. So we have a whole variety here. Now, in addition to doing that, we can also use these sliders down here. So if we like salty foods, we can move that up. If we like foods that have very little salt in it, it will adjust and say, hey, all those other recipes had a lot of salt in it, but this one does not. So we can, again, adjust these sliders to limit our choices. So again, let's go ahead and find something else here. Let's go back and browse for breakfast. And let's go to breakfast casserole. And I'm going to find a breakfast casserole that has ham. So it's giving me a wide variety, but you know what? I want a very sweet breakfast with ham in it. So I'm going to slide this slider over, and notice it narrowed it down to Mom's Baked Beans 2. So we all know the baked beans can be very sweet. So there's an example of a breakfast casserole that has both ham and it is very sweet. So again, we can change these sliders and we can adjust Yummly. And if you aren't salivating by now, you're probably not a foodie like I am. Matter of fact, I'm getting very hungry as I do this webinar by going through Yummly. So give Yummly a try. It is unbelievable the amount of recipes you can do. Just one last quick thing before we finish up with Yummly. I wanted to mention the fact is you can set up Yummly to respond to your particular categories. So for example, you can choose your age, how many people you tend to cook for, your gender. So you can set all those things, and then Yummly will keep track of those because you're required to log into Yummly. Even though there's no cost, you log in, and that way it can personalize it just for you. You can also use your Google Apps account to log in directly. That's what I've done here. So I've logged in my Google Apps account, and you see it has just for me. I can also collect things in my collections or recipe boxes. I can even add my own recipes that other people can see. I can ask other people questions. So Yummly is a really complete source for food out there. So if you do not know what to cook tonight for dinner, try Yummly. We're going to give a try here of a couple sites and see whether they cooperate or not. These are sites that were not opening properly earlier today, but I really like to show you the site, so we're going to try it. It's called Instagrok. Instagrok is a very interesting site because it gives you, again, a graphical representation of the information when it does its search. And unfortunately, I think today it is not working. So one of your homework assignments for today or for the next coming days is try to search Instagrok. Instagrok will give you a graphic representation of the data that you're searching through, and also, again, very similar to that literature map that we saw earlier, and even in more detail than that, it allows you to move between topic areas. You can also in Instagrok save your groks. That's what the searches are called. Your searches are called groks, and you can share your groks with other students, with your students in your classroom. Instagrok is free, but there is also a premium paid version that allows you to share more information with each other. Well, Instagrok is not going to cooperate, so we'll go quickly into another one I wanted to show you, Devil Finder. And again, Devil Finder was not working 100% this morning. But the part that was working was the images. So let's just go in real quick here and put in cats. And you notice that it's a great site for finding images. And all the images tell where they're from, what website they're from. You can go to similar pictures. You can see other pictures. So the image part of it's working right now, but unfortunately, the text-based site is not working. Now, the neat thing about the text-based one, when the web search section is working, its claim to fame is that it only gives you one page. So there is no page 2, page 3. Everything that it finds is on one page, so that the results don't get pushed down. Unfortunately, as I said, this particular site is not working properly today. I apologize for that. So again, the list of today's sites can be found in the slideshow presentation. And each of these is actually an active hyperlink. Our next site we want to explore is FactMonster. FactMonster is another kids-based site, and I had a real complaint about FactMonster, but fortunately they've gotten rid of it. They were running advertisements on the top that were not objectionable, but they were very confusing and very distracting. And I see they've went away from that, so I think there's been some changes in philosophy on the site. FactMonster is you can search with, but it also has a wide variety of other student tools, such as a dictionary, encyclopedia, thesaurus. So more traditional ways of searching for information by searching through a dictionary. It also has guides on spelling. So it has a lot of tools for students. But let's go back to the home here a second. And one of the things that makes FactMonster very useful is the fact that you can drill down by topical area. So if I click on science, for example, I can then choose to drill down further. So if I choose physics, it will give me topics under physics, and then I can jump into particular items from there. So again, I can choose to go through any of these topics on the top, or I can go to the home page and go down and go to the topics here. So again, let's just go to one of the areas up here. Let's go to science, and let's go to dinosaurs. And you notice we now have dinosaur resources. And in the eGuides dinosaur site, notice we have a lot of things we can drill down. So the whole idea is the students do not need to know the words or the phrases that they want to search for. They can see them in front of them and they can drill down. So it's a lot easier than just saying, go find information on dinosaurs. This way they can narrow their search to some specific area. So we went down to brains and intelligence and brains versus body weight, etc. So FactMonster, again, a nice little site to play around with kids. And there's also games. There's also homework guides. These homework guides allow you to get information that might be asked on homework. There's conversion calculators, periodic table, other resources that you might want to have. So it's pretty much not only a search site, but a resource site. So again, let's try a quick link, click here and see if we can get the other Instagrog link to work. Probably not. Nope. Okay, so we're going to give up on that. That's one of your requirements. Now, two last things I want to cover. The next one is a site that you may have heard about before called Wikipedia. And you're all out there moaning right now and saying, Wikipedia is a horrible site to use. Well, I really want you to read the information on the website resources called Wikipedia resource. When you go to that link, it's going to give you some very important stuff about Wikipedia. All the cons, but there's also a lot of pros in Wikipedia that most people don't realize. And Wikipedia is a great place for a couple things. It is a great place to find the proper or the scientific names for an object you want to search on. Then you use those searches in whatever search engine you want. So Wikipedia is a great place to find the words to use in your searches. So even if you don't care for the information that's found on Wikipedia, it's a great place to find the correct or proper or scientific or technical terms that will make your web searching much more successful. The second thing is you can create a book on Wikipedia. You can create your own e-publisher or PDF book on Wikipedia by simply going to Wikipedia, and then down the side here you'll see that there's some tools for Wikipedia, and one of them says that you want to create a book. Actually, it's under print export. You can create your own book and then you can download it. And when you create your own book, it lets you click on it and then add multiple subjects. So for example, if you're interested in Native Americans, you could click on this and you could go to Mayans, Aztecs, Plains, etc., and you could put together a little booklet. And it's a really, really clever and really interesting project for students to do where they can create their own little book of information. Now, the other thing I wanted to mention on Wikipedia is what I call rule of thumb for Wikipedia, and it basically works this way. I have a little chart here showing that the more you're looking at popular culture and celebrities, the worse the information is, because it's being written by 12-year-olds, people that have very much invested in the subject, but it's very gossipy. When you get out to more esoteric things, you'll notice that the quality of the writing goes up considerably. So who's writing about the yellow snell darter of Australia? Probably PhD scientists who's working on a project there. So again, Wikipedia can be a very good resource, even though probably many people have told you not to go there. The other thing I want to mention about Wikipedia is Wikipedia has footnotes for everything. So if nothing else, you can also again use the footnotes to start finding information. The last thing I want to mention about Wikipedia is for students who have English language as a second language, or for younger students And our language list on the side here, English was at the top of the list we were in right now. But if you notice, as we scroll down, there's something called Simple English. Sometimes this is referred to as Simple Wikipedia. When you do this, it automatically changes your searches, so your searches will be at a lower reading level than regular Wikipedia. So for example, this is a locomotive search using Simple Wikipedia. We're going to go back now. We're going to go right back to regular Wikipedia. And we're going to do our search, and you'll notice that it will be slightly different. I think, hopefully I switched languages here. No, I didn't get it switched. So let's go back to English first. Notice that our locomotive article is much more complicated, many more words, bigger words, a lot more to read. So again, the difference between regular English and Simple English. So this is just a couple things that might convince you to give Wikipedia a try. Now the last section I want to talk about is Google. Now you said, Anthony, I wanted you to get out, you wanted us to get out of our ruts. Well, what I want you to do is I want you to realize that there's more than just the google.com page you're used to seeing. You know, that one with the doodles on it, the Google Doodles that are very interesting. It's a great web searching tool, but Google has over 20 other web searching tools that you may not be aware of. And I've created a link here within the document of a list of 20 different types of Google search tools. Many of you may not realize that there's a Google Scholar, Google Shopping, Google Images, Google Maps. You say, well, that's not a search tool. Yes, it is. It's a tool that will let you search for a wide variety of things, not only locations, but then after you get to the location, you can find things at those locations. YouTube is one of the top 5 search tools in the world. People use YouTube as one of the main sites that they search on. A lot of younger students will go to YouTube to do their searches as opposed to going to Google. So these are all searching tools in Google. Let's just jump out real quick and show you a couple examples of them. I want to go to Google Scholar first. Google Scholar looks for articles. So if we're looking for articles on locomotives, they will be articles in scholarly journals. So we have the propagation of harmonic currents generated by inverter-fed locomotives in distributed overhead supply systems. So we don't have Thomas the Tank Engine in Google Scholar here. You notice that our material is at a much higher academic level. So that's just one of the many Google search tools. Google Trends is very interesting because it tells you what is being searched for, what information is popular on the web. And this is a great thing for current events to see what is currently being the most commonly searched for things on the web. And this being a day after David Bowie died, you'll see there's a lot of David Bowie searches taking place, and also there's always a lot of sports searches taking place. There's a very specialized Google search tool called Ngram. And Ngram is a subset of the Google Books search. But what it lets you do is it lets you take keywords from books and put them in here, separated by commas. And you can choose the time frame in which you want to search. And it will search through the books, and it will graph the appearance of that word in the Google Books collection over time. So you notice there's a lot more horses than there are trains or cars back in 1800s. And again, these are only books that are in Google Books, but it's a good way to find out information on popularity of certain words. So again, a very specialized search within a Google search tool. So Ngram is part of Google Books. So there's a wide variety. There's also many mobile tools for Google search. Many of you are using the Android equivalent of Siri, and that's the Go Google or Google Go or Google Mobile Search or whatever name they want to call it this week. That name has changed quite a bit. I think the official name right now is Google App. And just that's something that most people use on a daily basis and might not even think of the fact that it's a search engine. Something else that's very interesting is the fact that in the regular Google webpage, you can turn on or off the ability to search by speech. And it works not only on mobile devices, it will also work on the Google traditional homepage. So if I have it turned on, I don't remember. Notice the little microphone right here. I can simply click on the microphone. And we have to allow our microphone to be used. And locomotive. Locomotive.
According to Wikipedia, a locomotive or engine is a rail transport vehicle that provides the motive power for a train.
So you notice that the voice search is very similar to the Android or the mobile search tool that you might be utilizing. So again, those are just some of the many Google search tools in addition to your traditional Google search. So again, I invite you to make sure you try each of these sites. By the way, not only the links here in this page, but in each of the pages, the image is a link that will take you to the site. So you can get to the site by clicking on the images themselves and take you to the site. And unfortunately, again, I apologize for the fact that Instagrog and iSeek did not want to work completely today. We'll give iSeek one last try before we go away. And unfortunately, it's still not working. So again, thank you very much for listening to today's webinar. I really recommend that you take the time to go to our page. We'd love it if you'd fill out the evaluation. Let us know how we're doing. And also, please feel free to contact us. Our contact information is available at the top of the page. If you go to contact, you'll see that you can contact both Eric and myself, and we'd love to hear from you. We especially would like to hear ideas on what type of webinars you'd like to have in the future. Now, after you've went through all the materials, please feel free to take the Google quiz. When you take the quiz, it'll present you with a short quiz, and if you get an 80% or greater, it will send you via email a PDF of a certificate for 1 hour contact hour of continuing education. So again, thank you very much for watching the webinar. If you're interested in future webinars, you can find them at our PD schedule page, or even better, please consider subscribing to our Sparklines newsletter. Our Sparklines newsletter is sent out approximately once a month, and it will give you information on all upcoming webinars. The next upcoming webinar that I will be doing is one on virtual field trips, and Eric's going to be doing one on cheating on the internet. So should be very interesting. Those are coming up this month. So again, thank you very much. Hope to have you watch another webinar in the future.